Am I ruining my reputation with this? I don't know. Get me in trouble. Should we make this a series? I think we should. Like, let's do it. Howdy, welcome back to our channel. My name is Renee. If you're new, this is an impromptu video. I've had like a few topics of conversation that I want to talk about. These are just topics that I have a very strong opinion about. They're a little bit more controversial, so I want to hop on the internet and tell everyone about my opinions. No, but kind of. I feel like I have somewhat of a filter right now, and I have for quite a bit. I think with the shift of everything during 2020, I'm like really careful about what I say. I'm not as outspoken as I would like to be on this channel, but I'm kind of over that. I kind of just want to like chat. Like, these are the kind of chat videos that I remember falling in love with my community just online, just because we all had different vast opinions and we'd talk about like really deep things. And that's like the beauty of YouTube. It's like the creativity behind it all. And I really feel like I've lost that in the past few years. So I'm just doing it. I feel like I tried to come on here and do some sort of like series like this before, and I kind of got a little backlash for it. Am I ruining my reputation with this? I don't know. Like, I feel like dabbling in these kind of topics, especially ones that are like more taboo, get me in trouble, but whatever. So I've got a few things that I want to talk about. These are just going to be topics of conversation that I'm curious to know if anyone else feels the same way. I even got my hoops on, like my sassy Nay hoops on, just for this topic of conversation. Let's get into it. Homeownership is a big topic of conversation for people our age. Now that I'm getting older too, I feel like our generation versus like our parents' generation vary in a lot of ways, and especially in terms of like tradition or like more traditional style ways of living. For example, I feel like back in the day, and the American dream was have a family, raise a kid, white picket fence, corporate jobs. We're straying away from what I would deem as tradition. So a lot of us are working more jobs that are like flexible, not as corporate, not as professional. Like, we don't dress the way that they dress. We don't really take things as seriously. Yeah, it's not as rigid or like boxed in, I would say, in terms of the way that we live our life. People are having kids later in life. People aren't getting married. There's just a lot of differences within our generation and the generation above us. One of the topics of conversation that I don't feel like anyone has really touched on is homeownership. I feel like for us, because of the economy right now, it's like you have to pick and choose. It's like, do you want the big wedding? Do you want the kids? Or do you want the house? Like, you can pick two, maybe, if you're lucky or privileged enough to have that. For me, having and owning a home was just something that I was just like ingrained in my brain to like want, or things that we live for, if that makes sense. And now that I've been on the other side of that, we owned a 5-bedroom home, big land, like lots of land, a pool, like just, it was all of it. It's not as pretty as it seems, and it's not as fulfilling as I think like my mind made it out to be. It also kind of like grounds you down with roots with your family, but that's the whole thing that I've been kind of like playing with in my mind in terms of grounding you and like kind of keeping you locked in. I think that there's advantages and disadvantages to both renting and owning, but for me personally, I've always just been the kind of person to like, that's just what you do, you buy a house. I don't know, like, it's just something in my mind now that I'm like, I don't really want. I mean, if it's there and I have the financial ability to do it, like, I would do it. But to sit there and like put everything into a 30-year mortgage to just stay stagnant and be in a home, especially like one that's like that big to upkeep, was just not what I thought it was. And let me explain to you why. I've got all my points down here. We need to stop with the rhetoric and idea that you absolutely have to buy a house to achieve adulthood. It's based on antiquated values and ideas back when homeownership was much more attainable at a young age. I understand that there are some legitimate financial benefits to do it in some situations, but for the most part, especially if you're a single person living on your own, there's nothing wrong with renting versus the absolute ball-breaking, soul-sucking stress of fighting an ever-changing housing market for an overpriced status symbol you can't actually afford. Pay less, love more. Having owned one for 10 years and now renting, I'd say yes, it's overrated. It's expensive, time-consuming, and for me, irritating. Since selling the home over a year ago, I've never once been out doing something I love on the weekend and thought, man, I wish I were at Home Depot right now. Been through that phase. Or I would really just love to be doing house projects today. I'll gladly lose a bit more money by renting, which is way much less than you'd expect, and free up my time, energy, and peace of mind for enjoying other things. So the first point here I have is the market and the locking in your time. High interest rate we had, like, that was just annoying because like there was this picture on Instagram that I came across where it was like a dumpster dumping like little tiny rock, or like just like a little bundle of rocks, into this giant pit, and it's like you making your first mortgage payment, and it's like literally all of it's going towards your interest. Like you're not really owning anything until like years down the line, and you're paying the same, if not more. We were actually paying more for the home, and then you're locked into a 30-year mortgage. And for me, at least, you guys know, I am ever changing. Like I love being able to change. I feel like being a human, like a huge part of it is change. What you want now in 5-10 years, even in a year, it might not be the same. And that's the beauty of being a human, is just like growing and changing. And to think about being locked in a certain lifestyle for that amount of years stresses me out. Kind of like puts me in a bubble where I'm not able to really grow. And if I were to grow, it's more like I'm growing inside of the home, because you're just basically seeing the same things, you're around the same people. A lot of the times for the homes that you can afford and the homes that we can afford, you're in a community where it's not really changing anyway, and there's not really much going on. It's like they build these whole things like suburbs for families, knock down a whole bunch of trees in the middle of nowhere, and then you get these pop-up restaurants, and that's pretty much it. Like there's not much to it. And if there is some sort of nature involved or like outdoor activities, again, it becomes a little stagnant and it's not really changing. I like newness, I like opportunities, I like socializing, I like, you know, vibrancy, and I'm a city girl. I don't know how many times I've had to like ingrain that into my brain and try to fight it because of being a mother and becoming a mother and having this like idea that like you have to have this certain lifestyle now that you have a family. And to me, it's just like all wrong, which is a whole nother topic, by the way, we're gonna get into later if this one isn't gonna cancel me. Yeah, it's just like, to me, being locked in like that for a home, like a material item, like that's like your whole life, and like all of your finances and everything is just basically to pay off this home. Like again, if someone gave me a home, if we could afford it in the way that's like not in a market, or even if we could afford it in this market, the market's insane right now. So like I don't think a lot of us are paying cash for these homes. Like there's no point. Like I would rather pay for like experiences than building, I don't know, for all of that for just one piece of material object. I've realized, and obviously like not everyone's gonna buy like a 5-bedroom home, but even a 3-bedroom home, well yeah, 3-bedroom home's pretty fine, but like a big home that everyone kind of strives for, like they want, even if I had the money, I wouldn't buy a big home ever again, because you're just filling up stuff for no reason. And it's like, I don't need all that stuff. We don't need all that stuff. I just got caught in this loop of like wanting more, decorating more, and just like buying, you know, we had like 3 or 4 beds. Like why do we need 3 or 4 beds? We don't need that. Like I would rather spend my time and energy on living my life than filling up a home, maintaining a home. There was like this chasing, like this rabbit race, the hamster wheel of like wanting more, needing more, and like renovations, and like once you renovate this, like there's gonna be a new style and you're gonna have to renovate and keep up with the style then. It's just like this constant race of like buying things. I love decorating. You guys know me. I love creating a space and a mood and an ambiance, and I, to an extent, am a homebody. Like I just love being in a small space. But when it came down to like renovations and investments on your renovations and upkeep in terms of, you know, like roofs and like appliances and yards, that's like a whole nother thing. It's a lot, man. It's a freaking lot. And it was stressful. Like I just was living my life to like buy things for my home so that I wouldn't leave and just stay inside. Like for what? For what? I said a big home is ultimately an excuse to buy more things, and that's where I got caught. And I'm not saying that when you have a big home you need to buy new things, but what are you gonna do? Live in an empty space? Like you need to buy furniture for the home, the art on the wall, you know? Like it's just a lot. It's like once you buy the home and then you're gonna be like buying more stuff to fill up the home when you could have been just like spending money on like traveling or, you know, things that are important, like events and doing things outside with your family. And if you have all that money, like sure, do it. Like you can live that lifestyle and like own a home, do all the things. But for the average, and I'm not even average, I feel like I'm above average for my generation, it's still really hard to have it all. Like for me, I can't do that, which leads me to the next one, which is isolation within the space. So we lived kind of like in the country, so we didn't have much around us, so that was isolating in itself alone. But when I bought the home, I realized I spent more time in the home, and I was like making the home a home to spend more time in the home. You get what I'm saying? Like were just in the home. And I was like, oh my God, like I can't live like this. I have to get out. Like I just, especially becoming a mom too, you get caught up in this idea that you have to like, I don't even know, like it's just like upkeep. It's just so much. And especially with stairs, everyone was like in their own space. It was such a big spot that like Xander was over here, I was always over here, like the stairs. So like some people were in their bedrooms and some people were down here. Like I'm just used to living in a smaller space, and I like having my family together. Like at night, I want to be in the same room. I want to be close to like together. When we're in the home space, it should be, for me at least, what I like is my family just gathering. It should be like a gathering and like an intimate moment. But with the big home, it just felt like everyone was like kind of in their own little world. I don't want to have to drive 20 minutes to get to a grocery store. And then I don't want to have to drive 20 minutes to get to access to go take a walk. I don't want to drive 20 minutes to go to the gym. Like having access to all of that, or like around me, that was more like a country thing more than owning a home. But again, like if I think about the typical suburbs of how I grew up and what I see around my area a lot is just, again, it's, you get like one grocery store and like a few restaurants that people frequent on the weekends. You know, your kids play in their backyard, but it's the same backyard every single day. And like, yes, they go to school and they go to different people's houses and stuff, but there's not really like a lot of life in the suburbs. I want that lifestyle for my kids to see, you know, diversity and to see change of events and like new opportunities and new socializing and like different parks and like being out of the house a little bit more. And I just want them to have like vibrancy within their activities outside of the house and new and exciting things going on and like culture, you know? I think another thing was just my time and energy that went into the home. I was living for the house. On the weekends, we did things for the house. We had to upkeep. I know this sounds like such a first world problem, and it totally is, but we had stairs. And an example would be like if I did laundry, I'd have to go like up and down the stairs, up and down the stairs, up and down the stairs multiple times. I'd have to go and gather things from all the different rooms to do the dishes, and like those little time increments add up to a lot of time. The time it took to like drive all these different places and like get out of the house, just to like get out of the house to experience a certain experience. And again, this is more like country style living than, and maybe even suburbs, if you will, if you get bored of the suburbs and you want to get out. It's just like lack of change that you're seeing, time consuming, and that all takes away from time that I could have been spending with my children, going out and getting like new, like just like seeing newness. I don't know how to describe it. Let's chat GPT. Can you explain the feeling of not wanting to own a home? That feeling is more common than people often admit, and it's deeply tied to personality, values, and lifestyle priorities. Being tied down, you may crave freedom, spontaneity, or ability to pivot quickly. A mortgage, property taxes, maintenance, and all these long-term commitments can feel like you're being locked into one place or identity. Loss of novelty. Renting, traveling, moving frequently can bring fresh experiences, different aesthetics, new environments. A single permanent home might feel like the opposite, predictable and monotonous. Time and energy drain. Homeownership comes with upkeep, repairs, landscaping, upgrades, bills. If your energy thrives in creative, mobile, or less maintenance-heavy pursuits, that time sink can feel like it robs you of your spark. Do you guys get it now? Flexibility over rootedness, experiences over possessions, minimalism or mobility over material investment. I feel like I'm gonna cry because literally ChatGPT, aka Sage, knows how I'm feeling. Having the option to walk away, reinvent, and switch gears without a 30-year mortgage. That's another thing, is like when shit hit the fan in my family, and it hit the fan, I was like stuck. It's not a liquid investment. Like you can't just get out of it. You're stuck, and it's up to like the external environment for the change to happen, or like your tie to be released, which is really scary. It says not wanting a home doesn't mean that you're irresponsible or non-committal. It just means your soul doesn't thrive on permanence. You might be seeking growth, unpredictability, or the energy that comes with movement emotionally or geographically, and that's completely valid. Okay, thank you very much. And again, if you like that kind of lifestyle and that's what you want and crave, like to each their own, I think that's awesome. But I think this is where I'm getting like, I feel like the controversial issue is, if I didn't have kids, people wouldn't be saying what they were saying. They would be like, oh my God, live your life, girl, like you're doing your thing, like more power to you kind of thing. But because I have kids, it's like I'm now boxed into this label of I have to do this for my kids because this is what my family had like engraved in my head. But I think our generation is just really valuing, you know, health and lifestyle over the tradition of like owning and like being stuck living your life in this world that they have like kind of deemed as the American dream. I think the ideal thing would be if the homeownership was less of a money constraint and time constraint to achieve the goal. If it was like more at access or affordable and in an area and in areas that have the city feel. And that's the ultimate goal for us. I never want to put limitations on myself. I feel like a lot of people have this like limited mentality, and I've seen it when I even talk about wanting to live in a city with kids. Like, you can't do that, like you need a backyard and you need this and da 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 da. But we are outside all the time. Like, we're out and about, we're at parks, we're at zoos, we always have an activity going. Like, we're not really in the house. Like, I don't want that lifestyle for my kids. I've got boys too, like they're very active, they're insane. I've got a huge dog. We're always at the dog park. She requires at least an hour of physical activity every day, like intense physical activity. And so these things are things I know in my head, and I know that I'm not doing this just for my benefit or gain. It's also for my children. They would have more access, not that I have to explain this to anyone, but they would have more access to outdoor activities, more so in the city where we're going than they do in this apartment. This apartment has a very, very busy road next to it, and there's not a lot of like outdoor options for them in terms of safety. And you know, like, I know the area that we're going to. I know like where there's land, where there's parks, where to get out and escape if we need to escape, more family friendly stuff. And being in a city, for me at least, that sparks the need and to like want to go outside and do things, because there's always something going on. It's always new and exciting things. And even though there's like some sort of stagnicity to the area, predictability, whatever, these like main parts that I know, there's also so much going on around the area in terms of events and things to explore and new foods and pop-up shops and all this stuff, and access to like beaches and nature parks and all of that we're very aware of. We are gonna live a way more exciting lifestyle over there than we would over here or even in the suburbs. Like, I just feel like for me, and growing up like that, it's just like soul sucking to live over there, and I just don't feel vibrant. It's like, listen to the chat GBT. That's how I feel. And I'm just curious to know, like, does anyone else feel this way? And especially if you're a family, I've been seeing more and more families downtown, and it makes me really happy, because I don't think just because you have a family you have to limit your lifestyle or like go to what the traditional route of where people say that you should go because you have a family, and like just spend your whole life to abide by that dream that might not even be yours in the first place. Like, literally question yourself and be like, is this something I really, really want? Like, and if it is, it is. That's awesome. Some people like that. Like, not a lot of people can live this lifestyle. I feel like I have the more controversial or like taboo thought anyway. But I'm just curious to know, if you do live that lifestyle, is that what you want? Or do you feel like you needed to do that because you had a family? Especially if you didn't live that lifestyle before. Yeah, it's been on my mind. Like I said, a perfect ideal situation is a home ownership. I would love a home. If someone gave me a home tomorrow, I'm not gonna say no. But to like live my whole entire being right now to attain that goal, to be locked down for 30 more years, like, just doesn't sound good. Like, I wanna be able to have that, but have it in an area that is like a city vibe, and not city vibe in the sense of like there's city around us, but it's like walkability, access to health, access to a city if we want a city, water. Like, I want it all. I'm not the kind of person to settle. I'm not the kind of person to like bite into the norm of like the limitation mindset. I just think that that's a lot of like doubt and fear, and like, to each their own. Like, I don't judge you. You shouldn't judge me for wanting certain lifestyle. And I know what's best for me and my family. And yeah, it's just really something I'm just curious to know about. I feel like it's been on my mind, and I've been like scared to talk about it because I get so much. My subscriber recently called it feedback from people, like just like the voices and the like narrative of, you need to do this because you have a kid, and you need to do this, and this doesn't sound right because you have a dog, and da 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 da. I know what's best for my family. I do, trust me. And Xander is a very, very, very smart, intelligent person, and we have like come together through this. That's just my personal opinion. I feel like having these kind of conversations is going to be so much fun, but a little scary every time. I literally have a list of things that I want to talk about to people, not what's usually talked about or like pushed on to people. Should we make this a series? I think we should. I say that and then I'm gonna be like, oh my God, the comments of this video. No, thank you. I did a couple of these videos a few years ago, like I said, and I got a little bit of pushback, but I did one too about like marriage a long time ago. That one has popped off more now than it did back then. And I think more people are having that viewpoint now, which is interesting. I don't even really remember a lot of the topics I said about that. It's basically like why I don't want to get married. I should like revisit that maybe. Maybe that could be one of these videos, like revisiting that and like my updated opinion on that now that I have kids and a partner that I actually love. What should we call these two? I feel like they should be like a cheeky name. Controversial topics with Nay. Like that's not cheeky. Permission to think. Let's give each other permission to think. And like if you guys have a different opinion, you may sway my mind. Like let's chat. We are literally sitting on the couch and we're just talking. Let me know if you guys like this series. If you guys have any controversial topics too that you want me to like even to discuss. Like I said, I've got a list here, but definitely comment down below if you have like more outside of the norm viewpoint on something. Anywho, I love you guys so much. Thank you for listening to me talk, and thank you to Timmy for sleeping through this so that I could get this out. This was like literally so impromptu. I was like, he's sleeping, I've got this on my mind, I'm on my second coffee, like let's do it. I love you guys so much. Thank you for listening to me, and I will see you guys in another video. Bye.